Some companies name themselves after their creators, others after random names. Some companies, however, name themselves after fruit. Let's take a look at Lychee Slicer by Mango3D, touted to be a powerful and versatile slicer for SLA resin 3D printers. Let's dive into it. Hey, thanks for joining us again. We're going deep into resin printing softwares. We have a whole series about this. We'll card to it right there for you guys if you've missed any of them. But we're going to be covering Lychee Slicer after the fruit from Mango3D. I will give them credit from the top. Probably one of the coolest logos and stuff that we have because it's based off of a fruit. I don't know why, but you know, whatever, we're here. Lychee Slicer, I will say up front, has one downside to it, that it does require you to create an account. So if you don't want to use a slicer that requires you to create an account, yes, it is free, but if you don't want to use one that requires you to create an account, this one won't be for you. Maybe Prusa Slicer, or upcoming soon, Cheeto Box, but I guess Cheeto Box also requires you to create an account. Okay, so maybe you'll really like Prusa Slicer, but nonetheless, I actually do like Lychee Slicer. I think that just kind of upfront, it combines what we love about Preform that Formlabs has, which I don't think we're going to cover because it's very, very specific, as well as kind of the user-friendliness of Prusa Slicer and Cheeto Box, although Cheeto Box is not user-friendly, but you're gonna find that out later. Get subscribed. Into one really kind of nice package that actually works quite well. But I wanted to take you through their website real quick because a lot of their pictures and demonstrations and everything are actually really nice. We can see here that they do some sort of overhang check. Really nice support generation with what appears to be settable pads, as well as an angle on the side of it to help you scrape under it without stabbing yourself in the hand. Because we all know we've never done those things before. But Lychee Slicer doesn't have to be free. They do have a paid version, and let's figure out the differences between them. So we're here on their pricing page, and we see all you really need for the hobbyist is the free one. Now, mind you, their yearly subscription is only like €30 a year. It's not that bad, but you do see that don't have advertising before slicing. They do support advanced editing mode, sure. This is a nice feature that I wish they had on the free, which would be multiple options for support management, tips, base, shapes, etc. Because this is all possible in most of the other free slicers. They also don't enable hollowing without paying, and that's a bit of a bummer. It kind of is what it is. You get more raft types, more pixel perfect modes, variable layers, which I don't know why you would want that on resin. I think that just realistically, if you're going for resin 3D printing, you may not be that concerned about time. You're way more concerned about the quality of the prints that come out of it. We don't pay for it, so I couldn't tell you where it would matter, but if you know, let me know in the comments down below. And hey, while you're down there, don't forget to get subscribed. It helps us out greatly. And, you know, lightly tap that like button if you don't mind. Overexposed supports are nice, especially for really, really thin supports, so they don't break off of your model before you want them to. A lot of times, you're actually deliberately underexposing your parts so that they don't become all that brittle during the post-cure process. You can overexpose your supports, but it is effectively a second layer. So what Lychee Slicer, I believe, is doing is telling your printer to basically leave the pixels for your support exposed to UV light longer than your main model before it goes ahead and pulls it up out of the solution and then puts it right back in. That's actually pretty nice. It's something that I think a lot of initial users would benefit from, but I don't know, 30 bucks a year, you make that decision. Although for $4 a month, you can try it out for a month and see if you like it. I think though that their systems are good enough. Now, we do see your profiles are all saved in the cloud. So remember this, it's saved in a cloud. Now, they're upfront about this, okay? So it's not that big of a deal to me. I don't like clouds because there's no real way to guarantee safety and security, but it is becoming a thing these days with SaaS, software as a service, becoming a thing. It's no surprise, and Chi2Box themselves are also producing a pro version of their software for $100 a year. So if you're looking to get more features but don't want to give it to Chi2Box, Mango3D and Lychee Slicer might not be a bad move. But this is just on the surface. Let's see what it's like. I've got Lychee Slicer loaded up here, and this is what you see when you join in. Now, if you're not a pro, it's going to ask you to become a pro. It'll have the little triangle with the exclamation point saying that, you know, your account isn't pro. We can also click on My Account, which will show us everything that we have here inside of the machine. So I've messed with this just a little bit. You can turn on or off saving your history, and you can turn your history notifications on or off as well. The last time that I worked on this slicer, it did fail on me, but it has auto recovery, which is pretty cool. You can look at allowing it to auto save, which again, kind of cool that it lets you do this. Your cloud save, which we're just gonna turn that off. We have all of our global settings. We can calculate print time in real time. These are all default. So off, if you have a rip-roaring, rocking computer, you can turn this on and it's going to constantly be recalculating your print time. I don't need this. This is not something that I need. I'll just do it every single time we slice. You can load presets from a scene file. Not exactly sure what that does, as well as not sure what force high GPU mode is. We're gonna leave this thing stock, at least in that regard. We see that we have a free edition. We have our saved computers as well as invoices if you were paying for things. Printers and resins. I've just added our Elegoo Saturn. It doesn't come with any printers added, but it's not that difficult to do it. They've got a broad version of machines completely available, and you can use Formlabs on here. So it's kind of cool that they enable you to do that kind of thing. But we have Elegoo Marses and Saturns here, and you can see they're fully supported. Of course, Anycubics line is supported as well with Creality, ePax. All the big names that you would expect in resin are going to be supported here. You can also add just a straight up Lychee board. Right there is to delete this printer. Very, very simple. Shortcut editors, if you want to do all of your macros for your keyboards, very simple there. We can change all of our colors. Their UI is very, very easy to use. So if you're someone that likes an easy UI, Lychee Slicer is awesome for this. Highly recommend. Auto arrange, similar to Prusa Slicer, where you can set the distance between your objects. I like this. I do not want auto arranging after duplicating objects. It's one of the main points that I really wish that people understood. If you have it auto arrange after you duplicate something and you've had your entire build plate done the way that you want, your entire build plate has just changed itself, and it just bothers me. We have here under auto supports, we have support density. We can turn it up. We can leave it at normal. Search for ground for 25 millimeters, auto bracings, auto parenting, auto lift, very nice. 5 millimeter lift height, that's fine. And that is lift off of the build surface. With models that are taller and get very close to the maximum height of your printer, you might want to turn that down. But this is really to help with some of that initial Z elongation that occurs during resin printing, especially on your first few layers, where you're really trying to get it to stick hard to your build plate. Now, if you're printing something very flat and you want to actually stick it to the build plate itself, change the auto lift to absolutely 0, and now your part will be flush on the build plate. But I'm going to leave it at 5. We have all of our bracings here. We have our max diameter growth while a parent, and the parenting option is used to merge the base of multiple supports deemed to be close enough. This is nice. If your supports are close enough, they're going to merge them all into one and make it easier. And you can see a great example of what all of these look like. And you might be looking for this island detector. Show overhang areas where there are islands. Yes, we absolutely want that. We absolutely wanted to show us where we have overhangs. And you know what? I'm going to turn it up to detail. I prefer it to be a little bit higher when we can. Export menu, we can rotate the object on export. That's not really... We don't really need any of this stuff here. Inside of the support menu, we see our overhang angle. Leave it at 45. That's generally good for most printers. We see a safe distance with object is 0.5 millimeter. That's your distance between objects. That's beautiful. You want that. The right click to change clipping plane position. Some people like this. I don't think it's necessary. If you want to use it, play around with it. The raft is blurred out right now. Don't know why. It's just the setting the way that it is. We definitely want to show overhang area when there are islands. Show the support base length setting in the support palette. I don't know what that is, so we're just going to leave it off. Select support when added. Beautiful. Show support line when hidden. We'll leave that off for now. Show bottom bars on. Ball shape for real-time supports in error. No clue. And only for the Pro, you can do layer preview in printer resolution, which is your pixel. Perfect. So that would be nice to see. There are some cheaty ways to do that. If you guys want to see it, let me know. It involves a really awesome tool and programs called UV Tools, as well as Photon File Validator. We can do a series on those if you want, but you got to let me know down in the comments. Whoa, hey! They've got support for 3D mice, which I happen to have. They're great for CAD. Wow, look at that. They give you like the actual debug stuff. Cool. You can use notifications. All right. I dig this. Model repair. Auto repair is nice. Most resin printers shouldn't have to deal with this, but you can just do auto repair on load, which is really nice. External tools are great if you want to use netfab or UV tools, which it seems it supports natively, which is pretty darn cool. 3D navigation and your 3D view. So this is all really, really nice inside of just the settings for Lychee Slicer. So let's grab ourselves a benchy. All right, we're loading in our benchy. It moves you, which is kind of weird. Let me see. Does the 3D mouse move? Oh, heck yes, it does. Ooh, that is... Some of those things are not the way I'm used to them being. But that's okay. We're not going to use the 3D mice. But it's cool that it lets you do it. It's going to take me some time to set it up, so I'm not going to bother with it right now. All right, so we got it in here. It's giving us some settings down here. We have that it's Elegoo Saturn, our default, which is, you know, all the settings and things. Let's take a look in here. Burn-in layers, we have 6. I like to go to 10. Better to have too much than not enough. Exposure time of 25 seconds. 35 should be more accurate. You know, let's go down to 8. 35 seconds should be more accurate. Transition layer count. Yeah, we'll do 3. Lift after print is 8. Lifting speed is 90. Burn-in's 90, that's fine. Layer thickness at 50 microns. This is very normal, right? 50 microns is where generally most of us will be for resin printing. Yes, it is considerably lower than what you do for FDM 3D printing. This is fine. Light off delay is good. Exposure time is a little high. For most resins on a Saturn, 2.75 is good. Lift after print 7. I'd rather have too much than not enough. All that the lift does is make sure that it pulls your part out of the vat to allow the resin to come in under it, basically to allow capillary action to fail and allow the resin to reflood, so when your part goes back in, there's a nice layer of resin for it to expose. Our lifting speed is 100, that's fine. Lowering of 150. These base settings are actually pretty darn good. I do wish we had this. It's only available on Pro, but this is nice. You will have shrinkage. You will absolutely have shrinkage. Or expansion, depending on your type of resin, but generally it is shrinkage. And the compensation allows you to fix that. Now, it's gonna vary based on your cross-sectional area, right? Because the more material you have, the more likely it is to shrink or expand. And of course, it's going to shrink or expand more. So that one might take some time to dial it in. You can set your price as well. Normally, resin is $40 a liter, but if you want to do it for a business, you can add your price there to whatever you want so the program can tell you what it all has. We love that. We also have a way to override print time. So this is great if you know your printer takes a little bit longer to make moves. You can actually time it, change the times, and that will better enable you to calculate how long things take. Really, really great base features. You don't need a whole lot more, and of course it does show you, hey, you changed this, and we want to change it back. And of course, again, we can add or import printers, but we've got the Benchy. We see that it is non-manifold. However, if we use NetFab Online, it will require us to log in. Bit of a bummer there. There's not much we can do about it. The Benchy itself is not a clean model, and it does, unfortunately, need to be repaired. We're going to slice it as it is because we're going to be using this program the way that it should be used. Let's look at getting this thing rotated and auto arranged. So let's click auto orient and see what we get. This is more what I expect out of an auto orienting slicer. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, we talked about Prusa Slicer previously. We'll card to it right there, where its auto orient feature doesn't orient the way that I would expect. This is much closer to what I would expect. The model is already lifted off the build plate, so you know where it's going to end up. They have reduced their cross-sectional area as well as the amount of material that touches the build plate. This is all nice. Now let's do this one more time, see if auto orient changes it again. So all they're doing at this point is basically rotating it. It might have come down a little bit. Let's do one more auto orient. Yeah, so every single time that we're choosing it, it is actively finding a new home for this model, but you can see the base of it is angled and angled to reduce your cross-sectional area every single time. We have an arrange feature. We only have one model, so it's not really a big deal. We have move, exactly the way you'd expect move to be, so grab it on any planes. Very nice. Scaling, again, exactly the way you would expect it to be. It also has a measure feature, which will let you come in and actually measure things, like from here, there, roughly 0.8 millimeters. Very cool. Let's see, what is magic? I'm feeling lucky. Support presets. Let's go with medium. I'm feeling lucky. This is a nice feature. This is something that Preform has, but not a lot of the other slicers do, or just kind of does everything for you. And there you go. There's your ad. So measure between 2 points is available only through the Pro subscription. Unlock all features Lychee Slicer by purchasing a subscription. No, go away. There you go. That's what Lychee thinks is a good support. Oh, and I love that. You go under it and the pad goes away. That's really nice when you're trying to add support structure in. So bonus points to Lychee. This software is just really easy to use. Let's see what heavy support feels like on this model. Oh, it moved again. Right. It's going to orient itself every single time. So, oh, that's kind of cool. You can actually see it working. Okay, so the support presets are the thickness of the support itself. I gotcha. I thought I was talking about support density. Light is fine. Light is fine. Honestly, one of the better systems that I've seen in a long time outside of Formlabs. Formlabs has a really good system. So we have our layout up here. We can go over to supports. And this is where Lychee Slicer, to me, wins. Because this feature is awesome. It shows you all of your overhangs. It's awesome. Now, all we can do is use the cone. The crosser, the cube are only available for pro people. Is what it is. We can go ahead in here and just add in more support, and we see that we can actually change the thickness of our support material as we're adding it. And it shows you some areas that it's like, well, you know, we have some overhangs here. Shouldn't be that bad for us. Just kind of add things in. Beautiful. Unfortunately, we can't go into their pro settings, but that's all right. We can search for islands. Let's see what it finds. I don't think it's gonna find anything. Okay, so we've got some that it's pointed out saying, hey, ding dong, you got an island right there. Let's go over to a light support and let's, there we go. And see, as soon as you click it, the island goes away. We've got some other islands here on the actual logo itself. I don't think these are that big of a deal, but we can add it on there just for the sake of this video. That is so freaking nice. So freaking nice. This orientation is probably not a great one. We'll go back to layout. We'll go to rotate, go to auto orient. Yes, it's going to remove some of the supports. All right, well, it's deciding that this is the orientation that we're using. So we'll go over to supports. Now we can just do, let's do a little bit. Now let's do normal density, light supports, tip diameter 0.3. So the one thing that I can't see right now is how far the tip penetrates into the model. Now, they may not allow you to set that. It's probably not that big of a deal, but that's fine. So let's do our generate automatic supports. 112 supports added. 10 were not placed due to not finding a place to go. 5 island supports were added. 0 island supports were not placed due to finding. 57 supports optimized, 200 braces added. That's great. I love that it shows you those things. It's beautiful. We can do one more time, search for islands. It still has, it's funny to me that it doesn't pick up the island right there. This one will absolutely need it. That might need it. That one's gonna need it. Oh, and see, I didn't click this in the right spot, so it's telling me, hey, it's not right. So, there, beautiful. This is truly the way that I feel resin slicing should be, where it shows you everything that you're dealing with. It shows you kind of everything that you can expect before you go to slice it. There are very few programs that do this, so hats off to Lychee in their free version to let you do this. Can we hide supports? Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so nice. That lets us really see things. We can bring them back in, so we can grab that little tiny one right there. Right there. Boom! All right, let's go over to preview. That just shows us what our model is going to look like when it's printed. And then we can go straight to export. Like, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We can estimate resin volume. Let's do that. 19.26 milliliters or 77 cents worth of cost. And it's estimating a 3 hour, 33 minute, and 49 second print. I like this. Now, if we look here. Oh, wow. Let's get this thing sliced. Let's take a look at it. Oh! Is that slice by slice? No kidding. Now that is nice. Some of the other slicers let you do this, but not this way. Not this way. That's really cool. Picture, I guess, lets you choose it from a picture. I can simulate? No. Dang, that might be cool from like a video perspective, like to show you how resin printing works. Oh, that is so cool. Alt scale. It's got a banana for scale! Yes! Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Guys, this slicer is honestly pretty darn great. You can save the scene as a Lychee Slicer scene or as a Lychee Slicer light scene. There you go. You can go straight to the export. It's an Elegoo Saturn. We can turn on anti-aliasing, which is nice. Normally 4 is what you want. Don't care about it for that. It uses the CTB. We have our export. Ooh. Now we're going to get our 17-second ad. Are you kidding me? All right, well, it is what it is. You have to deal with the ads. Continue. First off, there are 16 islands not supported. Your print could fail. That is beautiful. What I'm trying to do is see if it is actually supported or not. So let's do that. We're going to export it. That's fine. I want it to show me those islands. Oh, baby, that's beautiful. This is probably not going to cause it to fail. I'm not too worried about it. Boy, you can even connect them together as a single parent. Dude. Bracings. I'm gonna give Lychee Slicer a lot of credit. Their entire algorithm is, they clearly spent a lot of money on this. I'm gonna bring in the model from Lychee Slicer. Let's see if it's actually, heck yes, it is supported. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is the second time that we have seen this. It's the second time that we have seen this in a slicer where the model can be exported with the freaking supports. This is awesome. Now, you don't need this for Lychee Slicer because it can do all the slicing for your other printers inside. If you're using Prusa Slicer, you have to export it, then move it into Chi2 box, yada yada. This slicer solves that problem. Man, I haven't sat in my chair and said, I don't mind paying them. Until right now. $30 a year to add more on top of what you already get for free is amazing. This software is amazing. Just like my segue to our sponsor, 3D Musketeers. If you have an idea that you want to get out of your head and into your hands with full art-to-part rapid prototyping and product development, you can reach out to us at 3D Musketeers. Links will be in the description down below. Yes, we're going to continue to self-sponsor these until one of you lovely ladies and gentlemen out there decide that you want to sponsor us instead. So, this is awesome, guys. This also lets us try out the arrange feature. Oh, all right. Well, I mean, I guess that works too. And you can see it does join their bases together, which is totally fine to me. I don't particularly care about this. This is good, especially if you have a bunch of smaller models and they don't have a lot of contact area on the build plate. Joining their bases lets them all hold on one larger base rather than a bunch of small ones. Less chance of failure, basically. And the one thing that I am noticing is on your regular 3D Benchy model, your supports are still separate versus the one that you exported as an STL, they're not separate anymore. So if you are going to export to an STL to maybe slice it in a different slicer, not that you would need to for whatever reason, because this, of course, does that, just be aware. We also have a holes feature. You can add holes. Oh, object is a hole. What'd you call me? That's cool. I'm sure that's also a precursor to the hollowing, which is unfortunately only available for Pro. But this is like one of those times where I'm totally okay with paying money for this. This is really kind of my first good look at Lychee Slicer where I've given it more than, oh, okay, it's named after a fruit. And I really like it. I think you will too. I highly recommend you guys give it a shot. If you're not a business, you probably don't need the Pro version. And I think that their website's pretty darn honest that the standard version is more than enough for a hobbyist. But if you want more, if you want the 3D hollowing, if you want more rafts, if you want the pixel perfect, then pay for it. I don't see any reason not to support these guys. This is a pretty powerful slicer that can easily export to whatever file format that you want, which other slicers out there don't do, right? Prusa Slicer does not export to anything other than an SL1. So if you want to use Prusa Slicer, you have to go through a bunch of hoops. Lychee Slicer keeps you from having to do this. But if you want to hollow your models, you have to pay them. Either way, I like this, and I highly recommend Lychee Slicer. I'm going to give Lychee Slicer like a A-, honestly. An A or an A-. It's very, very good. Recommended. Absolutely recommended. Great UI. This is truly, like, the tagline for this episode is, if Prusa Slicer and Formlabs had a crazy love child of software. Because this is basically what we're looking at. It's the user friendliness and ease of use of Preform without the $5,000 printer, but supporting open source 3D printers and software solutions inside of one. I like this, and honestly, this might become my new favorite resin slicer. The fact that it shows you where your holes are, it shows you where your islands are, it shows you everything that you need when you're working on the model. I mean, that alone makes it worth it. The fact that it shows you all of this makes it absolutely worth, well, totally free, but as a business, $30 a year. The amount of failed prints that you'll have because your support settings suck is more than I probably care to admit. Let me know what you guys think of Lychee Slicer down in the comments below. I love it, and I haven't even done a print on it yet. I'm gonna do a lot of prints on this, and I'm gonna compare it side by side. We actually have multiples of the same printer, so what we might do is do resin prints side by side with different slicers and see how they come out. Let me know in the comments, what would you like to see? I really don't think the Benchy is a great model to print for resin, especially because Lychee Slicer doesn't let you natively repair models without having an account with NetFab and all of that. But I'd love to know what model you guys would like to see, and maybe we'll do a quick little short of us setting it up so you can see how we do it. I also want to know about your thoughts of Lychee Slicer. It is impressive. It's very impressive, especially their free version is very, very, very impressive. Let me know in the comments, guys. I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to call your loved ones, and as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one. I'm gonna leave it at 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. I'm gonna leave it at 5. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. If you love resin 3D printer slicers, you're in luck. We have a playlist right below for that. And if you want to learn more about resin 3D printing, the video down there should help you out quite a bunch. Make sure you get subscribed. Patreon coming soon, so your name could be scrolling right over here as I'm talking. Don't forget to leave a like, and I'll see you down in the comments. Take care.